Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen, other pairs will be analyzing today, but try to make sure you do stay to the end of the video because I will be breaking down each pair, going into depth about what happened this week and obviously forecasting the next. But I do really hope you enjoy the video, and with all that said, let's get straight into it. Okay, so first up, Euro USD, and as you can see, this pair some nice upside momentum this week. Again, my main focus for Euro USD was this area of consolidation to see what the market will do. I said to you guys, if we can hold this as resistance, so retest the consolidation, can be looking for those sells back to the downside. And as you can see, the market broke back in. So as we traded back inside that consolidation, price action was very indecisive. Very unclear for me to work out which way price was to go next, so I'll just be leaving Euro USD alone, looking for the next move, looking for it to decide where it wants to go next, and then we can follow Euro USD in that direction. But in this area, very indecisive. I'm still overall bearish bias on Euro USD. Looking at the monthly, weekly, daily, we still do have bearish structure, and momentum is still definitely with the bears. But if we do clear the highs of the range, so breakout of this resistance along here, we'll be looking for some buy opportunities on the retest of that. So breakout, retest, and then we can look for some buys. Here was a false break of that high, but if we can get a nice retest of that, can look for some buys. And again, same targets. Like I said for last week, if we do have that reversal back up into this support here at 1.07600, so we'll have my eyes on for those buys because we've had a fake to the upside once, really nice fake out, gave us that roll over to the downside. Now this downside move turns out to be fake, back inside that range, so we might get that continuation higher. But if we don't take out the highs of the range, then I will stay bearish. So all in all, my main focus will be the highs of the range. If we don't take them out, I will still have that bearish bias and looking for sells at the highs of the range for a push back down to the lows of the range. Then if we can break through that, I expect price to come right back down to these lows here, which will be at 1.03500. Just make that darker, clearer for you guys, back down to those lows. So that is the plan for Euro USD, just to basically see if we can hold this as resistance. If we can, we'll be looking for sells back down to the lows of the range at 1.04800. That'll be the first target. Second target, back down those lows. If it doesn't hold and we break through, we'll look for the retest, and then we've got some nice buys back into those highs all the way up there at 1.07600. so that is the plan for the week ahead. Again, I'm still expecting to see some dollar weakness, so that's why I'm still really favoring the shorts. But if for some reason we blow through that resistance, start retesting, higher highs and higher lows continue, then we'll just take advantage of the buys anyway as well. So not really too bothered which way price goes. I'm expecting more shorts, but if we break through that, we can take advantage of the longs as well. So that is the plan for next week for Euro USD. Okay, so next up, USD JPY. So this pair, not too much happened this week for USD JPY until the latter stages. We did see a nice rollover to the downside, nice move to the downside this week. And I did say, our focus will be at this level here in the market. Really nice level of support and resistance. With support there, holding that consolidation, fake move to the downside. Go back above, use that support briefly before it did break through. So I did say if we can hold this as resistance, I would expect the market to roll over, and targets will be back at that wick, and a roll back over to this support here as well, which, as you can see, the market did pretty well. If we did break above that, then I'll look for a push back to highs, but as you can see, that never happened. So USD JPY coming into next week, now my main focus is this level here. Main reason, because we had this high, we pulled back from this higher low, and this is where all the bullish momentum came from to come into these highs at 131, and this is where we're trading at again. So if we can hold into this, I would expect to see some upside again for USD JPY. I'm not completely bearish or completely bullish on USD JPY. I do understand that the high time frame so I'm still pointing to the upside, and in fact, if we can take out this support, then I will be changing my kind of neutral bias to mainly bearish, looking for a bigger move to the downside. We've got some areas here which I'm expecting the market to come back and retrace into, eventually speaking. So when we do take out that level, I'll be very, very bearish on this pair, but because this level is still holding, I do think we can see another move to the upside back into that same level I was talking about last week. I'm not looking for a move back to highs. A bit too aggressive here. We do have some bearish structure here that we do have to recognize and respect, but if we can hold on to 127, I do think we can see a push back up into 125,500, and it well could be the case where we come up, test that level again, and then see a bigger drop to the downside. But we'll look at that later on in the week or for next week. But this is the move I'm expecting for USD-JPY. Hopefully you can get another test of that level this week. Again, wait for your signals, don't just buy because it's there. And then again, targets back at 129,600 for next week. Okay, so now we'll move on to USD CAD. So USD CAD this week had some nice downside to start off, and then after that kind of just sideways for the pair, which was expected. We were looking for a push further to the downside because it is a very, very key level, which I do have my eyes on, which I'm expecting the market to hold and then go bullish. So this is the key level here going through the market around the 1.28300 area, 1.28400, which the market is still just about holding onto. So if we can stay above this level, as you can see, resistance going through here, resistance there again, fake out, resistance, resistance, now holding as support. So if we can stay above this level, I would expect the market to continue and back to highs and further. Because if you do zoom out, look at the higher time frames, USD CAD has been ranging for quite some time. So a big breakout either to the upside or to the downside is on the cards. If it is to the upside, I'm expecting to happen pretty soonish, within the next 2 or 3 weeks. We could see the market be trading at 1.32, 1.33 if resistance, if that resistance level holds as support, and we can see the market push through that. If we don't, we could come straight back down and then look for the breakup to the downside. But again, that is for a whole nother video in the future. But right now, I'm expecting more upside for USD CAD. Again, dollar I'm still over bullish on, and I'm expecting price to move back to highs. So right now for USD-JPY, if I just remove this daily level out of the way, because we know it's there, but we don't need to focus on it too much right now. We've got this area of kind of consolidation here for USD CAD. So very, very messy, and again, it's not important to look too much into that price action, because we don't have very, very high probability trade setups in this kind of area with that sort of price action going on. So what we want to do is wait for price to make its move, retrace, retest, and then we look to get into our trades and take advantage of that momentum. So we're going to wait for price to break out of this consolidation, look for the retest, and then we'll look for long opportunities, and targets will be back at these highs, which is 1.30500. So that is the opportunity I'll be focused on for USD CAD. Looking for the break and retest of that consolidation, looking for buys in here can get a little bit messy, and we do have this bearish structure on the 4H, which could still continue a little bit deeper before we do see that upside move. So I'm going to wait for the breakout, the retest of 1.28500, and then targets at 1.30500 for USD CAD for next week. Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video. Okay, so next up, euro pound. So for this pair, we did start off pretty bearish this week, which was not expected. I was looking for the market to continue bullish and keep this momentum up, because I am looking for that overall breakout to the upside. However, the market is really struggling, and it does look like with these lower highs that could be forming on the 4H time frame. As you can see here, we've got the lower highs there, 2 of them there, and then potentially another one in this area here as well. It looks like this bullish momentum could well be another fake out. I would not be surprised if we do see the market hold this resistance up here with all these wicks and come straight back down into these lows. So as a result, I'm going to be a bit more neutral on euro pound, because we are still trading above this critical level of support and resistance, which you can see here: resistance, resistance, fake out there, resistance there again. So if we do hold this, we indeed could go bullish. But if we do break underneath, I will be looking for the shorts again, because this will be another false break for euro pound, and at that point, we could see a really aggressive bearish move to the downside if this is indeed another false break. So a bit more neutral on euro pound, waiting for it to make its move, and then again either following those continuations back to highs or continuations back down to these lows down there. And the targets would be, for the lows, would be this support here. As you can see, strong support there, false break there, support, another false break, and this will be the target here around the 0.83 area. If we do indeed get back below, that will be the target for the shorts. I do think we can go further, but just for the week ahead, we'll look for push into 0.83. If not, and we start holding this as support, place some higher lows in, then yeah, we're looking for another move back up into the highs up here, 1, 2, 3, which is around the 0.85900 mark. So again, can see price going both ways. We just need to wait for a little bit more information, before I do settle on a bias and direction. So I will be mainly focused on this region here. If we break to the downside, start maintain those lower highs, then again we'll be looking for those shorts back down to that 0.83 area. And if we can hold this as support as the market starts rejecting some higher lows, then we can look to get involved with the longs and pretty much on the exact same level, or around that area, and targets back to the highs. And I do think we can go further, but again, we'll just play it safe next week. 0.85900 for the highs and 0.83100 if we do get into the shorts. But this will be my area for trade opportunities. I just want to see if we can maintain those lower highs, we'll look for sells, or if we start holding support and placing some higher lows, I'll look for longs back up into that level up there. Okay, so next up we've got AUD USD. So for this pair, the price action is quite corrected this week. We have seen some bullish momentum to the upside here on the 4H, but overall it's been very, very corrective. So we're not really seeing any type of reversal type structure here. I still am pretty bearish on this pair, and I still do think we can see some more downside. So I still do have that bearish bias. What we're seeing now is some retracement. Unless we start ripping to the upside, taking out some highs up here, then we'll start looking for the reversals. But I still do have that bearish bias. Higher time frames are still looking bearish, and even the 4H, despite this bullish momentum, I'm expecting to form a lower high somewhere. And again, targets for next week will be right back down at these lows. I do think we can end up hitting 0.675 and 0.67, but a push back down to those lows is looking very, very healthy indeed. There's still 200 pips, so no need to really push the trade too aggressively or be too greedy. Push back down to those lows this week would be fantastic. So the main areas I'm focusing on AUD for some shorts is this level here just above 0.71, which is around 0.71125. Reason being, on the weekly time frame, we are still bearish on this time frame here as well. We do have this level of support going through the market, which you can vaguely see. Nice support level there, nice push to the upside. Faked it once, retest that support. Faked it twice, retest that support with some wicks. Big push to the upside. Now we're holding it at a resistance here. You can see 1-2 weeks ago, big wick to the upside, came back down, closed as a doji there. So now we are holding this level as resistance. So looking for the market to come back, retest that, form a lower high, and then keep on this momentum to see another bearish leg to the downside. And like I said, 0.675, 0.67, I can see the market coming back down into that support eventually. But for the week ahead, you can keep that in the back of your heads, but for the week ahead, looking for a push back down into these lows. So as you can see, the level I highlighted in the 4H time frame does line up with that weekly level there, as you can see. So just going to focus on this 4H price action here around that 0.71 area. So looking for a little bit more upside for AUD. It's very, very corrective, so I'm expecting it to maintain that kind of theme. Another push back up into there, and then we'll be looking for some shorts for push right back down into lows, something like this. So again, not really interested in any buys. If we do break above that level, I'll probably just fold my arms and just wait for the market to make its next move. If we go and take out this high for some reason, then yeah, I'll start investigating the reversals. But besides from that, my bias is definitely short. I'm looking for push back down into the lows at 0.68292. So yeah, that is my plan for next week for AUD USD. Okay, so next up, NZD CAD. So NZD CAD, I'm still bearish on this pair. I do see the market still heading lower. You know, like I said, this wick here is still my target, just above the 0.8 big psychological level then, so 0.80176. I'm still expecting the market to head lower into those, into that wick. This week we've seen some upside. I was looking to see if this level here can hold as support and resistance, because it was consolidation, looking for the market to retest that. But however, you can see the market has broken inside that level. So I do think NZD CAD is still looking good for a move to the downside for some good sells. But with the price action we got going there with some high lows holding, it does look like the market will probably retrace further into next week, see some more upside before we do roll over and see some downside. So I am looking at the higher time frames to get an overview of some key levels that could be important for these sells. And this level here, big kind of zone between 0.82 300 and 0.82 900. Key area in the weekly where you can see all these wicks been piling up there, big false breakout, and then we kind of ripped the upside very aggressively. So if we can hold this as resistance, I do think we can see some nice sells, and again a push back down into that 0.8 level is looking very, very good. So anywhere in here, we'll be looking for some lower highs to form, but this is the zone that I will be looking for some sells and a push back down into lows firstly, and then we can look for a push into 0.8 as well, depending on risk rewards and what you're looking to take out of the market, because push into that from that zone would probably be around 200 pips maybe, well actually 167. So still a decent amount of pips, probably around 200, then maybe back to those lows. But again, depends what you are looking from in the market. But NZD CAD, all the higher time frames are still pointing bearish. Structure is still pointing bearish on those time frames as well. Expecting a little bit more retracement to the upside into this zone of 0.82 600, 0.82 800. Then from there we'll be looking for that next little high formation for some sales back down to lows at 0.80 900, 0.81, and then 0.80176 down there for the week ahead. And now up next we've got pound NZD. So this pair, again, not much of pound NZD this week. As you can see, the market is mainly just consolidating now, so difficult to really get involved with pound NZD and get some nice opportunities, because price is just fluctuating between resistance and support. On the higher time frames, I do have a lot more clarity with this one. However, we do have this level here of resistance, which I'm expecting the market to hold and see a big drop to the downside back down to these lows, and even further. So I am expecting a lower high here to form on the weekly and a big push to the downside. But obviously going into the deeper time frames, daily, 4H, hourly, things do get a bit messy. So waiting for price to make a clear move to the downside, form a lower high, retest, and then we can get into some nice opportunities and some really nice short opportunities. But like I just said, I do have a bearish bias on this pair. So as you can see here, market is ranging, retested that weekly level here there at 1.96500. We've got this support which I'm waiting for price to break through, retest, and then we can get some really nice short opportunities back down to these lows all the way here, which is at 1.91. So waiting for the break of this level. We had a false break here, so the market did break below but snapped back above pretty quickly. So waiting for the actual break, the retest, and then the shorts to the downside. And then there's a few areas where you can take profit or target your trades to. Really nice resistance there. You can see for all those wicks, some resistance going through here as well, but my target for the week will be back down at 1.91. so looking for the break, the retest, and then sells the downside. If we break above this, then again there could be some nice buys there, but I'm mainly focused on the shorts for the week ahead for pound NZD. Do have a lot of confirmations across multiple time frames that these shorts could be coming around pretty soon, if we can break out this consolidation. But that is the main setup I will be focusing on for pound NZD. Clear level of support the market is respecting multiple times, so if we can break through that, show us that the bears are taking control. if you can get a nice retest, look for your lower highs, you know, price action, wherever you use to signal you into a trade, and then shorts. And my targets will be back down at 1.91 for next week for pound NZD. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to CAD JPY. So CAD JPY this week did see some nice bullish momentum. However, that was quickly rejected, quickly depleted, and we did see some bears come strong, you know, towards the later stage of the week. Then after that, kind of just consolidation for CAD JPY. But coming into the week, I was looking for some more upside for CAD JPY, which we did see. However, the momentum failed and it didn't sustain. So it was this level here. Big psychological level at 100, looking for the market to hold on to that and continue bullish and, you know, come back to these highs. However, as you can see, the momentum failed, a lower high formed, and now we came back and we are forming some lower highs after that. So for CAD JPY, I'm actually going to shift my bias from bullish to bearish. For this one, looking for a push back down into these lows, and more importantly, a push back down into these daily lows all the way down here at 97,100, we'll call it. So that is the target for CAD JPY. We're performing these lower highs in the market. So it is painting a picture that the sellers are in control. We tried to go bullish, you know, a really strong push to the upside, tried to go bullish once, failed, and then another strong push, tried to go bullish, failed. So I do think we can roll over to the downside again for CAD JPY. Again, this market is not completely bearish just yet, looking at the higher time frames, but definitely from a 4H perspective and an intra-week perspective, you know, we can see some strong possibilities that we will see another bearish leg to the downside for next week. First target will be back at the support here at 98,300, and then we'll be looking at 97,200, 97,100 all the way down there. So as long as we don't take out this high, do have that sell bias, a nice trend line forming through here as well. Price is respecting that. Got a nice level of resistance here, which the market keeps tapping into. So hopefully you can see another retest of that for the week, for next week. Look for some lower highs up there, and then again shorts back down into that target. Well, depends where you want to push the trade to, but you know, if I do get an opportunity for this one, I will be looking for 97,100 back down there for CAD JPY, you know, for next week. Okay, so up next we've got pound USD. So for this pair, did see some nice bullish momentum this week. After that, not too much, but price did have a quite big surge to the outside at the start of the week. Mainly focused on this consolidation coming into the week, but as you can see, the market just ripped straight through that, retested that, and did see some upside. But overall, for pound USD, you know, if you were on my live streams this week, you would know that I'm still bearish on this pair. I'm looking for a push of 1.26, and if you can hold that, I do think the market will roll straight over. And again, expecting price to come right back down into those lows at well, just above 1.21500, so 1.21700 there will be the targets for pound USD. So you can see the market is still bearish. It has ripped to the upside past these highs, but overall resistance is still holding, and the key area in the market is this 1.26 level. Reason being, we dropped the downside very aggressive from 1.3, formed this lower high, and then the market rolled over. So the market still respects that lower high. You know, from a structural point of view, the market is still bearish because structure hasn't broken, despite, you know, these 4H highs up here being taken. The markets can definitely still push a little bit higher and see some downside from that. So I will be looking at 1.26 to see what we can do at that level. If we can hold, we'll be looking for some seller opportunities, and again targets all the way back down to 1.21700. But again, you can take it, you know, step by step. You can have targets up here, well, around there. If you want to push the trade not all the way to the lows, but you can push it to that key support there, and then again here as well. Again, depending what pips you're looking for, you can probably get a nice push to the downside. So a few targets you can aim for, but again, you know, I look to try and take advantage of the whole swing, you know, using the 4H time frame, and my targets will be down to the lows, knowing that I do have the higher time frames on my side, monthly, weekly, daily, all displaying bearish momentum. So, you know, there is a good amount of confidence to hold these shorts for push back down to those lows. So yeah, that is the analysis behind pound USD for shorts for next week. Okay, so next up, pound CAD. So pound CAD was looking for some shorts for this pair this week. The main level I highlighted was this level here of support, resistance. I said if we can come back into this level, could see some nice short opportunities if we do hold this. But as you can see, did not get confirmation in the market, broke straight through, and we are starting placing some higher lows here as well. So I do believe pound CAD can see a bit more upside. Again, still overall bearish, and I do think this is still retracement, so I'm going to still be looking for short opportunities, but but there's a good possibility that we could see some nice short-term long opportunities, but later I will be looking for some sells to take advantage of, because higher time frames, structure, momentum, all trend all show that the sells are still available. And this wick here again is my target. I do believe we can push past that level, so you can see come pretty close. So I am looking at some upside. This is showing us that the market is shifting from bearish to bullish here on the 4H, and this is a very strong daily area where we dropped to the downside, pull back from the lower high, didn't retest that level there. So if you can come back, retest this, which is around the 1.61700 mark, we'll be looking for some shorts up there. And again, same targets as last week, back down to the wick of that monthly candlestick. But again, depending how far you want to push the trade, multiple levels you can look to take profit at or aim your trade to. But as a swing perspective, we'll be looking for a push back down to lows at 1.57300 for next week for pound CAD. Okay, so next up, pound JPY. So for this pair this week, again, some really nice momentum, but a little bit indecisive as to where it wants to go next. Again, the key level, as you can see there, 159.700 is the level that I said I was going to focus on for pound JPY this week, and actually will be the level I want to focus on next week as well, because it hasn't really acted as support resistance this week. Well, towards the later stages, as you can see, we're acting as some nice resistance there, but we rallied through that level pretty aggressively, to the upside and to the downside. So it was hard to really use that as a good, reference point. But as you can see, this level here was holding this head and shoulder pattern here. So this was the neckline of the pattern. So we've got left shoulder, head, right shoulder, snap through the neckline there, looking for the retest for price to continue south. But as you can see, we did close above, then close straight back below. So this could just be a false breakout. And if we stay below this, with support and resistance, I would expect to see some more downside for pound JPY, and targets will be back down to lows, and expecting, this, or anticipating this to be the next lower high for the market, and expecting some either lower lows, or at least the market to come back and retest these lows around the 156 area. But if we do indeed come back above this level, close back above on the daily, that's the key thing we're looking for. Another daily close back above, we use that as support, then I'm expecting to see some upside, and same targets, same bullish targets as I had last week, which will be back at this level here, 163,500. So pretty much the exact same thing we're looking for. But as price action has developed this week, it does look like the market will be getting ready to roll over. We've got the false breakout. Price is now respecting that as resistance. So we do have multiple confluences, pointing us in a downside direction. So we'll be focusing on the shorts for pound JPY. But again, things can change pretty quickly in these markets, as you guys have probably found out by now. So, if we do see that strong daily close back above, and we start using that level as support, which is 159,700, then we will change that bias to bullish and look for a push into 163,500. But this is the main setup I'm focusing on. I'm expecting to see some more downside for pound JPY. You can see we tried to go bullish with all this momentum, failed, correctly rolled over, tried to go bullish again, failed. So I'm expecting that lower high, this to be the next lower high, and I'm expecting these lows to be taken out. So this is the setup I have my eyes on for next week for pound JPY, and targets back at these lows at 155, 600 for next week. Okay, so gold. Next up, we've got gold. So gold was seeing some upside this week. And again, we were expecting to see that push to the upside. Targets were at 18.15, which you can see we're just about coming into that level now, which is this resistance here, which is the area I'm now going to be looking to short gold if we can hold this. Well, there's actually two areas where I'll look to short gold: 18.50, which we're coming to now, and 18.17 up here, or slightly underneath 18.70, so 18.68. These, two high time frame key level highs, we'll be looking to short gold from these areas if we can hold this level as resistance, or that one. And again, targets right back down to the lows where price is coming from, which is this key level of support there. 1, 2, 3, test again, another strong reaction. So one of these areas, we'll look to see if we can get the suitable price action to sell the pair, and then when we do, again, targets back down those lows, looking for that next bearish leg to the downside. So that is the thought process behind gold. Still short in this pair. We have seen some nice bullish momentum this week, but I'm suspecting it just to be retracement for now, unless maybe we rally straight through those levels and use it as support. Then I'll investigate a potential reversal and price maybe coming back to highs. But as long as we can respect these areas, I will have that bearish bias, and targets for both of those opportunities will be back down at 17.90, 17.88. But again, multiple areas where you can take profit beforehand if you don't want to look for the full bearish push. But yeah, that will be my full process, my plan for gold for next week. And last but not least, we've got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin not doing much, as you can see. Price is basically just consolidating at a very, very key area. If I go on the weekly time frame, you can see this wick here was the lowest point before we had this big surge to the upside. So the market is kind of just holding on to that support level right now, and it's trying to break through, trying to reverse. It's kind of just moving sideways. So there's indecision right now for Bitcoin. It needs to make its mind out for what it wants to do next. If it does break to the downside out of this consolidation and past this level of support at 28,600, then I will be looking for 19k next for Bitcoin, which is this prior major swing high for this one, which, as you can see from that swing high in 2017, late 2017, pulled back, and then we had that next bull run to the upside. I do believe we're coming back to retest this high if we break through that support. So right now the market is just consolidating, making its mind up for what it wants to do next. If we do hold this support and see some recovery, some upside, now we'll be looking for a push back up into this support time resistance and potentially high as well. But for next week ahead, or even for the next 2 weeks, that does look like a fairly reasonable target for Bitcoin. Again, this market is still quite bearish, so definitely wait for the market to break the highs of the consolidation, retest it before looking for longs, despite us being at a very, very strong level of support. Because if this momentum is just slowing down, recharging, and then getting ready for another bearish move, it's definitely something that you want to get involved on the retest of the level of the consolidation, and look for those sells rather than try and anticipate the reversal just to see price continue bearish before that momentum. So simply waiting for price to make its mind up of where it wants to go next, and just we're looking for that break and retest. Again, drop to the 4H, hourly, whatever time frame you look to enter. And a really nice swing opportunity is coming around, especially after consolidation. We just need to see which way Bitcoin wants to go. If it's to the upside, we've got some upside targets around the 35k mark. If it's to the downside, looking for 19k, especially if we can break through that level and hold underneath it. But yeah, that is the plan for next week. You can see the 4H is very, very messy, difficult to tell Bitcoin's next move. So wait for Bitcoin to make its move, get the retracement, and take advantage of that for Bitcoin. Okay guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed that, found that useful. Again, any questions, didn't understand anything, let me know what pairs you're looking at and what bias you have for certain pairs for next week in the comments down below. I will get back to you. If you are enjoying the content, leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell, share. All that good stuff does really help the channel out and keeps you in the loop when I am streaming or dropping any videos that could be useful. But I do hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and I'll catch you all in the next one.